Thing is, like, I love to make videos. It's just right now I don't really have the time to be able to put everything into every single song. And so I haven't been making music videos as much anymore. But
So, Krohn, welcome to the show.
hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So, you started writing music at the age of 13, but you didn't record your first album till you're 14 with your brother. What was it about creating your first album that made you go, I want to do music for the rest of my life?
It was actually, I knew that I wanted to do music forever. Right after I wrote my first song, which wasn't very good, but there was something about it, just creating a song. I just like instantly knew that it was something that I wanted to do forever. And yeah, so then I spent like 4 years trying to produce this album that I wrote when I was 14, and I released it when I was 18 of all the songs that I wrote when I was 14.
Why did you wait 4 years to release your album officially? Because that is, to put it nicely, a good procrastination gap. It's like, "Oh, I'll just wait for 4 years," and then you decide to actually take the leap of faith.
So it was more that I was teaching myself how to produce music because I recorded everything myself and I mixed and mastered the entire album just myself. And so it took me a long time to like I was just a kid, so I was just learning. And so it took me like 4 years just to figure out how to use everything and to finish all the songs, which took me really, really long. But everything after that has taken less long, which is nice.
What did you learn about making music during that 4 year process?
I think I learned a lot about making music. I think it made me look at music in a very different way, learning to produce it myself. And so I'd always listened to music really deeply, but it made me pay attention to all of the different elements that make a song a song. And I was also just like going through like the most formative years of my life. And so I was just kind of learning how to exist and live and who I was as a person.
How would you describe your own style of music? Because I've seen on your website well, you're an indie artist, but in your own words, how would you describe your style of music?
I typically say it's indie pop rock. I feel like that kind of gets at it pretty well.
Why did you pick indie pop rock?
The term or the music to make?
I meant the music.
The music. I think it's a lot of the music that I grew up listening to. Like I grew up listening to a lot of pop music. Like my first favorite singer was Katy Perry, and then I got really into One Direction, and then Ed Sheeran, and then I kind of discovered a lot of different like indie bands along the way, and kind of went more the indie route of things. Also a lot of rock music. I was raised on a lot of rock and sang a lot of rock music as a teenager. And so I didn't really like choose to make it. It just kind of is the music that naturally comes out of me.
What is your inspiration behind your music? Because you said about, looked it up earlier, it is about, with you, from what I understood, is it fair to say it came from your personal experience? Because I seen your video on Instagram that you were raised by YouTube, which is actually something which happened to me as well when I grew up. But did it come from a lot of personal experiences? Did it come from those you've seen on the internet, or was it kind of a mixture of both, or friends, family, and all those around your scene?
I think for me, the reason I make music is that it always starts with some kind of feeling. And I pretty much only really write about my own life at this point. And it's just kind of stories of things that have made me feel things. And I just feel the need to express it and share it and make something out of it. And I feel like it helps me understand my life as I move through it, as well as I feel like it documents my life. Like that is something that is really important to me is like memory and being able to remember specific times in my life. And so I feel like a lot of my writing is kind of like cataloging what is happening and the way that I feel about certain things so that I can go back and remember it better.
Would you describe it somewhat like a time capsule? Because I know your
Mhm.
latest song. Okay, because I know your latest song, Sammy, is all about a situationship.
Yeah,
I take it you went through one of those then, if you turn it. Okay.
I did. Yes.
How was it? I'll use Sammy as an example. What was it like to use your personal experience to write a song? Because you're essentially in the creative process, you're ruminating on a situation to make a piece of art in that context. What was it like to retrace those memories? Because I've had to do that with my personal life from time to time, and be quite painful and not easy.
Yeah, definitely making a song. Like I wrote it while I was kind of in the midst of the situationship, but then as I chose to release it, I basically, you have to listen to the song so much, so you're kind of forced to relive everything about it, as well as like coming up with like what am I going to talk about in the TikTok videos that I after I release the song, like I have to kind of like really analyze the situation and almost create like a story about it that is a little bit separate than like the experience of it, because now it's like, how am I going to like tell this to other people rather than like what do I feel about it on my own? Because I feel like the things that I feel about a lot of the different topics that I write about, like they're all like they're very like relationship based. And I feel like relationships have a lot of nuance, and my songs are just capturing like a specific moment or a specific feeling about something. And so you have to simplify it a lot when you are conveying it to other people. Whereas in my personal life, like things are really nuanced. And though I may have a song about somebody, it doesn't encapsulate like the entire way that I feel about them. And so I feel like that can be a little bit interesting in like my personal life.
You've also got to condense it down into what's essentially like a 3 to 5 minute song as well, like your entire life experience. So I know you did that one on tarot cards. I've got questions about that myself, but you took with that one you took is it tell me if I'm wrong, if you're down, is that what you named it? Yeah, okay. But you're taking your entire research of that to use a different song, and then you're condensing it to what's essentially you're condensing it into a short piece of art, and then you've got to convey that into the audience. Would you say in that context you're kind of missing pieces out which were crucial or critical to the end product?
The end product of the art that I make.
That I got with each individual song. So kind of yes, kind of know where I'm going with that. But I hope you understand.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So with If You're Down, you took months and months of research, condensed it into one short clip. What parts of the process do you typically miss out from that? Because you can't fit it all in.
Right, yeah. You definitely can't fit everything in. I think I kind of I studied tarot cards to be able to make a music video for the song, and I just kind of used what I learned about the tarot cards because it was also just an interest of mine, so I was just like reading a book as I do about anything. And I kind of chose cards that I thought represented the situation or represented the actual cards that I pulled during the situation. Because me and my friends would like do little tarot readings, like, oh, what's gonna happen tonight? And then we would like pull a card, and like some of the cards that I actually pulled ended up being in the music video because they ended up being like really significant to that time.
In what way do you mean it was significant to that time?
It like there were certain cards that I drew that ended up being like really defining cards of that time, whether it's like I needed clarity on the situation, and the card that I pulled was like exactly the card of like how I felt or like something that I needed to hear with the situation. And so they like there was one card that I pulled like three times in 1 week. Like I kept pulling this one card, which is the Three of Swords, which is basically the card of like heartbreak and agony. And so in the music video, I got three swords and I was wearing a red dress, and I put the swords in me as if I was the heart, the Three of Swords card, because it's like there are three swords in a heart.
But that's actually quite a creative decision in itself. And I was going to bring up your music videos later, but on the topic. How, as an indie artist, how do you get people together to create your music videos? Because you've not got a massive budget, a massive team behind you. It's just, speaking as someone who does this show entirely by themselves, you're essentially pulling whatever resources you can into making the music videos to go along your songs. So how do you personally get people together and everything to make.
I've always done everything really DIY, and I just have really wonderful friends. And so I've basically just gotten my friends to help me record things as a mixture of like filming it myself on a tripod or asking my mom to hold the camera and kind of like, and a lot of the people that I've worked with, they don't make videos, and so it's a lot of like me directing, like, oh, like do this and hold the camera this way. So I'm kind of like the actor and the director and like everything about it, and they're just kind of like holding the camera. They're just like a human tripod, if you will. And yeah, so they've just kind of helped me, and we've gone out and done it in a couple of hours. And then later on, I'll edit the videos and just kind of choose based on whatever shots that we got. But I've done one like actual music video where I paid like a big production team and we filmed it, which was my music video for Sammy. And that was a really great experience because I didn't have to tell everybody what to do. There was like a director who knew what was going on, and I also didn't have to think about camera angles or lighting. And so it really took a lot of the pressure and the responsibility off of my back, which was so nice. It's just like, as an indie artist, you can't really afford to do music videos like that for every single song. So I just released a song called Hung Up, and I didn't do a music video for that one because it takes a lot of time and money for it. And right now I'm like really wanting to just release a lot of music.
Would you say that you prefer to do the music then over making the videos? Because I
The
remember,
thing
go on.
I was just gonna say the thing is like I love to make videos. It's just right now I don't really have the time to be able to put everything into every single song. And so I haven't been making music videos as much anymore, but it's still one of my favorite parts of the process.
I think with music videos, this is coming from a guy who had to do one for a group project in college. So I actually understand a bit about it. The only exception is it's been years, but anyways, is the music videos also got to match the songs well? Because speaking from my experience, I did one for a band called Casille. They're indie metal, but their music's a bit weird. So when we did the video for them, kind of has to match the tone. Would you say, since each of your songs, because I've only ever done the one, with you, you've done multiple songs about multiple topics. Would you say that it's a bit more challenging in your context because you've got to make sure that your songs are about different stuff so that they've all got to match up?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of use the song as inspiration. So the way that the song feels, I'll usually create a video that kind of matches the way that that song feels and what it means to me and what I want to portray with it. So it kind of changes based on the song.
How do you make a song from start to finish in your case? Because we've always said about take your own personal life experiences. How do you select the life experience and then you distill it down into a song and then create the piece of art from there?
Yeah, it just kind of happens. Like I usually just feel a certain way about something, and for whatever reason, my brain has chosen wanting to make a song out of it. And so I just kind of reach for whatever instrument is going to communicate something, and I just sit down with the feeling and think of words and like play the guitar and make chords and melody, and then it ends up being a song. I don't really understand the process of how it happens. It just kind of, for some reason, like it was a thing that I did, and then I just have continued doing it, and it's kind of just like the way that I express myself now.
Sounds like you make it up as you go along.
Yeah, definitely. You make it up as you go along, and you try out things, and not everything sounds good, and you just kind of continue with it and keep kind of molding the clay until it's done.
Have you seen this on the internet where they say not perfection gets you nowhere? I'm paraphrasing this heavily, but perfection gets you nowhere. It's just action and imperfection. Eventually, you make it good.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, perfection, like I don't think, I mean, it's because what is perfection, you know? Like there's no way to really measure what if something is perfect or if something is good or bad. I think it's more about just creating it and creating what feels true to you and whatever you want to do with it, like thinking about the context in which it shows up. Like I don't only think about myself when I'm writing music. Like I do think about like, oh, what would somebody else want to hear? Like what should I do in this part of the song that will kind of take what I'm feeling and give it to another person, and like seeing kind of through their eyes to kind of achieve this end goal of something that isn't perfect, but nothing is. And if it is, like what even is perfect, you know?
Matter of perception.
Yeah. And it changes.
Oh yeah, no, I thought about that earlier, just randomly, and I thought, oh, hang on, you could have something which is on paper perfect or on paper good, but because everyone else's perception of it is, nah, this is crap, then it doesn't get anywhere, and then you have it flipped on the same result or outcome, but flipped on its head, where you have something which is by all accounts bad, but everyone loves it, so it succeeds because of that alone. Do you find that with your music, where you think something you've made it, and you've gone, yeah, this is great, and people gone, nah, and then you've gone, oh, this is terrible. Everyone's, we love it. It's like, they're like, Is it?
Yeah, I definitely have. I feel like I've made songs that I didn't think were that great, and then I showed some of my friends, and they were like, "This is the best song that you've ever made." Like that's kind of the situation of what happened with my song Sammy. I thought it was just kind of like a boring pop song, but then I showed it to some of my friends, and they were like, "Sarah, this is like the greatest song you've ever made." And so I ended up like kind of listening to that and being like, "Okay, like maybe this is really good." But then I mean, there are songs that I love. Like my favorite song that I've ever released is called A Part of Me, and it's my favorite, but according to like the Spotify stats and everything, it isn't other people's favorites. And so I don't think they always line up like that.
Also, I would say in that context, it's sort of like a selection process because me, when I finished university, I did a bit of music myself, but didn't really stick. But one thing I learned from that is when musicians and other artists are selecting the pieces of work they're going to use, they tend to take stuff out because maybe it doesn't work or maybe it doesn't fit the album or this and the other. How do you, with all of your ideas, how do you select the ones which you take out and which ones do you keep or then end up producing, and what is your criteria for that?
I feel like as much as I have tried to plan the songs that I'm going to release, I have never been able to plan them. And it bugs me so much because I am a person that loves to plan everything. And so the fact that I can't plan it, like it really annoys me, but it truly is like whenever it's whatever song is making me feel the most because it's so much work and time and energy to put out a song for me. And so I have to feel really, really passionate about it or it's just not going to happen. I've tried to release certain songs that I was less passionate about, and it's kind of a good like filter of like I can't release something that I'm not passionate about, which maybe that means like maybe that is a good thing because maybe that means it's good or bad. But yeah, it's just kind of whatever I'm feeling the most about and feel most excited about making. And then I end up making it and working on it just because it's like it's the thing that's making me feel the most.
Suppose with the passion side, because I know you've done a bit of touring this year, I suppose it's easier to play those on stage as opposed to songs you're like, this one again.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'd have more fun with the songs that I enjoy playing.
I like to tour in general because I've never had the opportunity to ask anyone this.
Yeah, I went on my first tour in October and it was a solo tour. So it was just me and my car and a guitar and it was really fun. I had a great time because it's just like me driving all day singing in my car myself. Like that's one of my favorite activities. So I was driving and then I would play a show and I stayed with friends the whole way through. And so that made it really convenient in terms of my budget because I didn't have to pay for any hotels. But it's also like fun because I just get to visit my friends. And yeah, I mean, I had a really great time. I was opening for Sawyer Fredericks for a couple shows who he won The Voice back in some year. But yeah, it was really great. It was a really great experience and it gave me the confidence to know that like, oh, I this is something I can do and I'm going to continue doing things like this.
You also did a group tour band as well, and I really struggle to find the name of the band, unfortunately. But what's it like to, because you've described doing it on your own, but also like to tour with other people as well? Because most people end up either touring on them by themselves or in the band, but you've done both, so how does it differ?
Yeah, me and the band, we played like a little weekend run together and it was a lot more people in one car. We had to cram stuff in so much so. It was very, very packed. But it's also more fun to tour with other people because you're just like hanging out with your friends. And so that weekend was really, really fun. And I'd love to do more kind of band tour things. But it's also like in terms of a longer tour, it's a lot more expensive. And so, kind of at the moment, it wouldn't make a ton of sense for me to do that. But, I would love to do it in the future.
Speaking of future, what are your future plans going forward?
Yeah, so my future plan for like the next year or so, I'm really want to focus on releasing more music. So I'll just be working on and releasing a lot more music. And then I'm trying to put together a mini tour in the beginning of the year. I don't know if that's going to pan out, but that's what I'm trying for. And then, yeah, just booking more shows in Chicago next year, as well as doing weekend runs, whether it's in like nearby cities. And hopefully I can do more of the solo touring as well.
Sarah Krohn, everyone. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you and wait for your upcoming music?
Yeah, I would say two places I post the most are Instagram and TikTok. My name is just Sarah Crone on there, and my music is on all streaming platforms, also under my name, Sarah Crone.
If you want to listen to more musical content from the show, then I have Casey Sounds, who's a music producer, over here. Oh, and don't forget to check out Shannon's episode over here as well.